because of the lessons that I learned in the Tactical Empire Inner Circle. I built a team first. And now, guess what? Now I can move very rapidly and go from 0 long-term rentals to 30 as fast as possible without, hopefully, I say that with air quotes, hopefully not running into the issues that you ran going from 7 to 35.
How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another edition of the Tactical Empire. I am joined by Shawn Rider. How you doing, man?
Jeff, good. Here's a little lesson for the people. You can be worth $10,000, $1 million, or $10 million. But if you play pickleball in shitty shoes, your feet will be destroyed.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
We were talking offline. I absolutely destroyed my feet because I played pickleball every day last week, wearing normal workout shoes. So I am $80, $98 more poor, but my feet are feeling 1,000 times better. So solid investment on my end for the pickleball shoes this week.
I'm taking your word for it. I'm allowing you to run this pilot, and I'm watching from afar.
Oh, you're going to be out there. You're going to be out there later today playing your son, and then an old lady's going to crutch her way out there and kick your ass. I'm waiting for it.
It's true. It might happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following along, we are almost there. We are almost to level 7, but we're not quite there yet. We are at level 6 of the 7 levels of financial freedom. Go back and listen to the first 5 episodes. If you haven't listened to them, they are in order here on our show. Level 1, you are the asset. Level 2, establish your BAM, bare ass minimum. Level 3, liquidity. Where's your cash? Where's your capital? Do you have lines of credit? Do you have access to other people's money? Level 4, create your own banking system via high early cash value life insurance. Level 5, which is the sexiest of them all. I think level 4 is the sexiest personally, but level 5 is the one that everyone wants to think about and talk about, which is invest in cash flowing assets. That was the last episode. Now this episode is level 6, which, Jeff, I got to be honest with you. We're going from the sexiest level to like the most boring in my mind. But just because it's boring doesn't mean it's not important. It is arguably, probably, once you start, like you said on the last episode, level 5, once you're in level 5, then you start cycling back through the levels again, and you start stacking and stacking and stacking. And like you say, the valley of death, especially with cash flowing assets like real estate, the valley of death is 1 to 10 properties. Most people don't get past 3 properties, but let's just say 10. Most people can't ultimately fully change their life with under 10 properties if we're talking long-term rentals. We could go back and argue that we can. I had 3 short-term rentals that have done really, really well, but that's a moot point. You can only get so far as your leadership abilities and your financial education. Your portfolio is only going to be able to go as far as what you're willing to handle and what you can delegate and build out a team around to go to the next level, to get past 10 properties. Okay, so level 6 is creating systems, structures, processes, and building out your team. In my mind, I'm not a systems guy, so to me, that's boring, but I have implemented level 6 and it has helped me a ton. So Jeff, ball's in your court. Level 6.
Level 6 is sticking with the same theme that we've always had, which is freedom. You cannot because everything you're building in life can become a cage. Okay. So if you are earning active income and you've got a good business and you're bringing home a lot of money, and then you're like, where should we be investing this? And you're like, well, I want to start buying real estate because my friends do it. It seems very passive, and I want to live the lifestyle that I want to live. And it includes me being whatever, traveling 365 days a year, whatever. But then you go and you start buying properties, or you start buying these assets, and you realize that the more and more you acquire, the more and more work goes into maintaining them or acquiring them, right? And so I learned this very early in my career because I fucking skyrocketed from like, I think I bought 7 properties pretty quickly, and then I went to like 35. And, and so that gap taught me this lesson in spades. It was like, okay, now I have built like a monster that if I don't put in processes and build a team around it, first of all, it can't grow anymore. Second of all, it's become its own job as well. And so what I was looking for was this freedom to do whatever I wanted because the cash that was coming in the bank. But what I built myself was a whole nother fucking full-time job. And then what I also realized is that I couldn't grow it to 100 houses, to different asset classes, if I wasn't identifying properties, if I wasn't writing offers, if I wasn't maintaining them. And like, so it takes some vertical integration as far as like, what are you going to do? Like you're starting to burr properties right now. That has an entire system that is complex that goes with it. You have to have offers being written, deals being located, and closings happening. Then you need construction teams. You need construction budgets. You need a foreman to drive the project or a GC. And like, do they work for you or do they work for someone else? Do you bring them in-house? Like there's a lot of things that go on. Then it pops out the back end. The property's done. Someone has to rent it. You have to fill it now. Then you have to manage that property because there's things that happen in your real estate that need tended to, right? Not just the money collected. There's other things that go on. Pipes burst, shit happens. And so you realize very quickly that like you can't, it depends though. That's what I'm talking about. The thing that's interesting is you can bridge the gap from what you're doing actively to taking on this role. If you can grow a portfolio and you say, I want my active income to be real estate investing, which is kind of what I did for an interim period of time, because I was like, okay, my full focus is going to be over here and that's going to be my full-time job. I'm going to do real estate. And so, but what does that do? When you're doing that, you need to do some of those jobs because it makes sense for you to kind of at least be one touch away from the GC role, the rehab budget, the whatever management of the properties. You don't need to necessarily be the executor of it, but you need to be like one step away so that you understand everything that's going on. And then, so level 6 is about building a system that can allow you to grow to where you want to be, which is affluence and abundance, which is level 7. And like, whatever that looks like for you, you need to be thinking with the end in mind so that you can reverse engineer the organization necessary to support your goals. Now, if you're just trying to produce $3,000 a month through rental income, and that's all you're trying to do, that's the pinnacle of where you're trying to go with it, right? That might only be a handful of properties that you stay in for. I mean, I literally could show you how to do this, and you could buy 7 houses, hold them for 7 years, sell 4 of them, pay 3 off, pay 3 houses off. You could do that in 7 years through buying 7, sell 4, take the equity from the 4 that you made and put it down on your mortgages on your remaining 3 properties. And you would make $3,000 a month free and clear cash flow. You could manage that yourself. And if that's all you wanted to do, level 6 is very simple for you. It's just understand that is the path that you want to go on, and that you're going to self-manage them. Maybe you even hire a VA that you pay $200 a month to, and that person answers the phone for you. And that gives you a little bit more buffer. So now you're making $2,800 free and clear, and you've got a VA to write off for an expense, whatever. But what you need to think of is how far you want to take this thing, how much cash you need for level 7, and eventually, or just like a business, you're either growing or you're dying. And you have to think of it structurally so that you can set up the lifestyle that you want and spend the time with your family and have the freedom that you want. Otherwise, you're going to sell it all because it's a pain in the ass. That's what we're talking about when you're saying that's the valley of death to get through these things. Guys, I had 100 and $25,000 worth of fucking pipe burst damage on, it was Christmas Eve. We had pipes burst a couple years ago. And so you can imagine my phone, even though I don't manage my properties, I had an entire system in place. I have people to take care of all this stuff, but it was Christmas Eve. And the insurance claims, there was no insurance claims because my deductibles, 5,000 to 10,000 on the houses, or 2% of the overall cost. I don't know what it was. I think it's 2% of the overall value of the home. And so it didn't make sense when most of the repairs were anywhere from $500 to $15,000 per property that were damaged. And so I came out of pocket for every bit of that on Christmas Eve. And so, like,
ho, ho, ho.
You have to think about this stuff as far as, like, do you have the chops to get to where you're going? Because there's going to be speed bumps.
Well, now that Jeff blew people's mind by, I love the line of everything can create a cage in your life. You started off on fire. Then you built the people up saying buy 7, sell 4, be free and clear on 3. And now you just told them $125,000 worth of pipes bursting on Christmas Day. So now they all just, they're out of it. They're not going to buy property.
I think I had 32 properties affected. So
Good,
it wasn't. So if you only own the 3 free and clear, you probably got out of that deal with like somewhere between $1,500 and $5,000 worth of damage, and you'd be okay.
The lesson learned is to obviously not buy properties in Texas because it's so cold there that pipes burst all the time. No, I mean, I bought a property in the mountains of North Carolina, and past inspection, brand new build, and then the first winter, the pipes freeze and burst because they weren't insulated when they came out of the well in the ground. It's like, why do you not insulate piping out of the ground? So no, man, it happens. Golly, there was a lot there. So let me get myself going. You went right to the jugular. For me, what this looked like was, and it's interesting because I'm in this transition now from like buying for maximum income for buying for most efficiency now. So if you've listened to this long enough, I went in after my commercial purchase, I went into the short-term rental game. Early on, I was handling my first 2 short-term rentals. I had a great husband-wife cleaner, still do, at these properties. But I was answering all the messages. My cleaners were basically playing middleman. They would buy supplies, then I would reimburse them. Then they'd have to communicate with me. I'd communicate with the guests. I'd communicate back with the cleaner. So finally, it was like, Shawn, like how can I use level 6 in this instance on 2 properties? Because unlike long-term rentals, I mean, you got new people at your property every week. So it does require attention more so than a long-term rental. And it's hospitality. We won't fall down that rabbit hole today. Yep. And so I had to empower and teach my husband and wife cleaner on how to manage the property. So fast forward 2 years, I'm a lot more hands off. But there are situations. Last week, the guest, after a good string of great guests, the guest had 2 dogs, and the dogs left the property in a pretty rough shape from a cleaning standpoint. So my cleaners had to communicate with me. But my number one response to them for 24 hours was, do what's necessary. I believe you'll get it done. That's it. Like that. Now they kept messaging me because they wanted to keep updating me on what was going on. And it was simply, I trust you, do what's necessary, a la like block the next night. So if you need to come back tomorrow to clean, like don't leave tonight available, block it. You have the power to do that because you're a co-host on my account. Do what's necessary. I trust you. You'll get it done. And then I said, just tell me the total at the end. When they were done doing all the cleaning, they told me the total. I charged the guest. Within 10 minutes, the guest paid the extra because she knew her dogs messed up, and we all moved on. My third property in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, I have a great, spouse cleaners, and they're fantastic, and they handle everything. And very rarely do they reach out to me. They're a little less maintenance required in terms, they know what they're doing. They've managed other properties before. So they just take care of everything, and it's awesome. But I'm in this phase now where it's like, do I see, you're talking about like, where do I see the endpoint? Do I see myself just buying short-term rentals nonstop on end? Could I envision myself owning 10 of those? Now, the 3 that I have create great cash flow. So it's like what, 15 or 20 long-term rentals in terms of the cash flow.
Yeah.
But do I see myself being this person that owns 10 of them and managing, if they're in 10 different locations, now I have to handle 10 different co-hosts.
Yep.
And the answer to that question was no. So I'm selling 1 short-term rental. I'm going to keep the other 2. And then that's where you said I'm getting into the BRRRR. Now, the reason why I avoided long-term rentals is because of the conversations I had with you. $500 didn't get me excited. Handling pipe bursts didn't get me excited. Doing rehabs and finding GCs didn't get me excited. So when I got into BRRRRs, what did I have to figure out? I needed to build my team on the front end. And for me, it wasn't even about building the team. It was about finding the right partner.
Yep.
So my partner is a GC. My partner owns a property management company. My partner is sourcing the deals. My partner is managing, and I just have to sign the papers at closing. I have to wire the money. So I did level 6 on the front end because I have level 1 through 5 built for this new strategy because of the lessons that I learned in the Tactical Empire Inner Circle. I built the team first. And now, guess what? Now I can move very rapidly and go from 0 long-term rentals to 30 as fast as possible without, hopefully, I say that with air quotes, hopefully not running into the issues that you ran going from 7 to 35.
Yeah. But I think you walked through the process. You just had to learn the lessons. I think this is one of the hardest levels for new people that come into the program to understand because they don't get it. But like ultimately, once you start acquiring some things or building a portfolio at all, you can start to see it more because you start to understand the work that's involved. And then you can do what you really want to do. Like when you first got into Airbnbs, I remember the process. You were like, okay, I'm going to control this because this is my personality. This is what I enjoy doing. And you took it on for a while, but then you came to a sticking point, if you will. And it was like a crossroads. It was a fork in the road. Like, are we going to go, how can you scale this to $50,000 a month? And it would take, in your mind, you sit and do the math and you're like, fucking 25 of these and 25 teams or whatever. Like how would I manage this? And do I want to do it? And at that point you have to decide what you're passionate about. And so you were like, nah, I don't think so. Cause I don't want to deal with the headaches that I know would come because I've already got 3 of them and I have headaches at this scale right now. If you 10X that scale, I don't want anything to do with this. And so to your point, there's also people out there that are dying to do that. Yeah. That are very excited about that. And so when you went to your long-term rental strategy, you said, who can I find that wants to do these type of things? And so we talk about like, what do you bring to a real estate deal? You bring wisdom, experience, money, or time, right? Wisdom and experience is one.
Yep.
Like, yep. And then money or time. And so you have some experience and wisdom and some money, and your partner has all 3 really, but doesn't have to necessarily bring the money in this situation because that's how the partnership makes sense. So it's mutually beneficial because he brings wisdom and experience and time. Yep. And he's already built the vertical integrations because his level 6 was building out a sales team, a construction team, a management team. And so like that is a level 6 for some people. Like I've got a buddy that burrs properties and he's built a monster company, $100 million company. And they've burred like 84 properties this year already. And they buy and they hold them. And like all he's doing is building a massive portfolio, but he had to build a monster company to support moving at that level.
Yeah. That's interesting that, it's like putting a puzzle piece together of my partner's level 6 and my level 6 and then merging together. So that was a really cool statement that you made. And it kind of opens my eyes to the move that we made there. I think going back and hopefully this is relevant to the listeners that are getting into real estate. They try and manage these things themselves because they're looking at the numbers and they're like, I can save the 8%, the 10%, the 3%, whatever the percentage is on long-term rentals, and on short-term rentals, it's more like 20 to 30%. Yeah. So the number's big. And if you're going to actually put forth an effort, I mean, that 20 to 30%, you need that to make the cash flow work on these properties. So I think what I'm seeing from people in the inner circle is like they want the cash flow because they're like, well, I'm investing to earn more money. So why would I pay someone else? But over time, I think what some of these guys are realizing is they're probably not going to leave their main thing, whether it's a business or high W-2, as quickly as they want. And once they start earning some of that cash, they start getting a little bit of that taste of freedom of choice. And then they view their job or business differently and realize, oh, I do like this. I do want to continue to do this. And that's when they offload the extra cash flow to have someone else manage it. And I think that's a sweet spot is, some people just need to learn their lessons, me included. I mean, I think I moved at the right pace and made the right decisions when I realized, it was taking a little bit too much of my time and that I couldn't scale the way that I had preferred to scale or wanted to scale. But other guys, again, I think in the short term, they want the money, but in the long term, they realize they're still going to have active income. They just should be doing something that they love and focusing on the roles and skills that they have. And then just let someone else hammer out the real estate. And again, when you can start stacking properties, and we talk about teams internally, but like your external team, your real estate agent, do you have a defined buy box? Are they sending you the right deals? Are you working with wholesalers? Do the wholesalers know what you're looking for? So you can be that guy or that girl that they're sending the right properties to. It's not just about the team that you have internally. It's about the people externally. Is your accountant up to par on what you're trying to do? How many people come in and they were small business owners and they had a little accountant in the industry that they were in, and now they're exploring cash flow assets, and that accountant doesn't have, the necessary skills to do the books the proper way, right? Like you have to level up your sphere of influence and the professionals that you're using, nonetheless leveling up from your friends. And that's not today's topic, but I know that's the topic we bring on the podcast. So Jeff, great insight on the processes, systems, and team building. Is there anything else you want to tell the people about level 6?
No, just don't overcomplicate it. This is one of those things that it'll be a light bulb moment for you.
You chip away at it. Away at it is the way I view it. Like it didn't happen overnight. I was just like, oh, let me delegate this. Oh, let me see if they can do this. Oh, let me hire this person. And then it just forms over time.
It's an awareness thing. And then you have the ability to do cost benefit analysis at every level, like Shawn's talking about. Like, cause Monday mornings come a little different when you can tell the boss to fuck off because you've got $10,000 a month coming in anyway, whether you go to work or not. It just feels different. It's a load and a burden lifted off of you and your family when you know that you have that security on the back end of things. So just something to think about. But guys, this is level 6. It's scale, build your teams so that you can support the portfolio that you're trying to create over time. So let us know if you have questions, or hopefully it was helpful. Have a kick-ass week. Hit us up on Facebook, where you have a free Tactical Empire group if you have any questions about this or implementing this step-by-step process. Have a great week.